The sightings that I'm finding really interesting are out in Arizona, Oregon. Have you heard the ATC, air traffic control, with it's like 6-7 pilots?
Yeah. The radio, the communication between the pilots. Yeah. This thing going coast to coast in seconds, and
going out to the ocean.
Yeah.
Back.
We're seeing 3 or 4 targets. They're all altitudes, up and down. It's pretty crazy. Just had another one show up about my 1 o'clock, about 1,000 feet high, zipping towards us and then back out towards the ocean. It's red in color, moving at extreme speeds. I don't even know how to describe how fast he's moving. 661 on the Fox.
Typical name Foxtrot, Roger. You are cleared to maneuver as necessary, left and right, to avoid the UFO out there, and all the reports you've given us are good information. Appreciate it.
So I've interviewed witnesses who've seen that exact same behavior.
Yeah, wow.
Just covering massive distances and doing really crazy stuff.
And you're a pilot yourself.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if anybody knows that, but like that's interesting, because as a pilot, I feel like you're just a little bit more credible on these sightings, just from that standpoint alone.
Well, you have to be, you see a lot up there.
Yeah.
And you learn, that's another thing I get a kick out of too, is like a lot of people have never really studied the sky, and they're out there with cameras.
Starlink.
I had a guy come in a couple weeks ago. He's like, dude, look at this UFO. I'm like, that's Starlink, bro.
Yeah, I've got a few of those.
I mean, there's a lot to see out there and a lot to understand. And then when you see an actual anomaly, it's pretty clear, and then you still have to go through the process of examining it,
and
thinking
eliminating.
You do, and you just have to. But yeah, it's an air safety issue, to be able to know what you're looking at, knowing where a plane is going. The reason they have a red and a green light on each side is it's crossing this way at night. If you're seeing that red light, it's going that way.
Right. Yeah, because you're up there, you're not really sure what's moving, if you're moving, if it's moving.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that's super interesting, because, that makes, like, that you mentioned, even the Oregon pilot, mentioned, like, when you hear something like that as a pilot, dude, you take that more seriously.
Oh my God. Yeah. Because everything they're saying.
It's vetted. It's like,
well, and they know that pilots do not talk like that unless they're seeing something. I mean, and the interesting about we're talking about the 13-minute raw.
Yep.
Yeah. So the controllers, right?
Yeah.
A more senior controller comes in, and then there's a bunch of controllers.
Take a picture? You want to? Can you send
me
a video?
Exactly right. Here's my number. I love that.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what would happen. It's so interesting too. Like the community I'm around of pilots, like they're very, they're pretty cool people. Pilots see quite a bit, but they just do not talk about. They don't talk about it.
It's touchy being a pilot. We spoke about this a little bit yesterday when, if as someone who has, like, what is it, a class 2 or 3, you got to watch what you say, because you could lose your license, because you're essentially a threat to, many lives being a pilot, a commercial pilot. And
it's commercial.
Yeah. And so if you say, like, oh, I have a history of dealing with depression, like, there goes your license. So you gotta keep your mouth shut about things like that, and you gotta suppress it, and that's really tough, and puts them in a really bizarre situation when they're people we're trying to count on for specific information. They just can't talk about it.
Yeah, that's very true. It's it's for class 3. It's like, I mean, that's general aviation, but the commercial pilots, I've talked to many of them, interviewed. Even one of the pilots that saw what he saw the night before Ariel at night, flying back.
And this thing was, we were here and we saw the thing coming from here, and it must have gone down here towards the Free State, Orange Free State, Lesotho, and onto the East Coast there. And I had a friend of mine who was going to formate on us in another aircraft. He called us on the radio and said that he could actually see us, and he was coming up, and we must keep a lookout for him. And I actually said to him, well, I can see you on the left-hand side of the aircraft. And he confirmed that he was on the right-hand side of us. And I said to him, well, if you're on our right-hand side, what is it we're seeing on the left? And on our left-hand side was a ball of light. Don't know what it was. And he saw it, my co-pilot saw it, and we noticed this thing go from the left-hand wingtip across our track and disappear across the horizon. And that took about 3 or 4 seconds.
I posted that interview on our website. You know, he showed up without any of his, you know, ID or who he was flying for because of many of that reasons. But he shared it because it wasn't just him. It was his co-pilot and another pilot. They, you know, oddly, in Africa, they'll fly in formation because there's just different rules over there.
Right.
Like, you'll have 2 commercial jets flying side by side.
Yeah, that's an odd thing to see if you're looking up.
Well, it's just the rules are a little different.
Yeah.
There's places where there is no radar coverage at all.
Well,
yeah, there's huge, vast areas where there's no radar coverage, so you can kind of do what you want. But anyway, it is an issue because it's discussed.
It's discussed among them. Like being a pilot yourself, you've heard stories.
Oh yeah, but usually it's followed up with don't tell anybody.
Can you?
I told you that.
Could you share one of the stories without giving away who said it, or would that give it away?
Boy, I'd have to think about the. There's been a lot.
I don't want to put you on the spot. If there's anything that comes to mind, though, but
yeah, let me think about it.
Sure.
Like the interesting thing is because they know I fly. We're like we can speak the same language.
Yeah.
Like we have the same kind of understanding. They may have a lot more hours than I do, or you know. Like I love these guys that have 35,000 hours. It's like I've got 1,600. Like,
whoa, yeah,
it's a big difference.
Big difference,
you know. Yeah. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But it's important because they don't have a voice, you know. And I'm hoping like that particular incident that was recorded on ATC. I hope those people get interviewed.
Yeah. Or they're not. I hope they're not reprimanded either.
They shouldn't be.
You know, well, they shouldn't be,
and because they have so many. You know, it's not. That's the amazing thing about it is I think there's 5 or 6, maybe even more than that. They're all calling
people
in.
chiming in. I know
like,
it was exciting
it too. It really, yeah. A friend of mine sent me that, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's. I've interviewed a Navy man who witnessed the same thing when he was active duty. Him and another engineer on the P3.
Wow.
So the same behavior, like it would just go, it would come up and then it would just zoom out like ridiculous speeds.
Impossible speeds.
Yeah, and then repeat the behavior. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
You know, what are these things?
It must be so wildly different also to see it from that perspective because being on the ground looking up is one thing. And sure, you can spot anomalous behavior, but there's so much going on above your head, right? Like you said, there's rockets coming back into orbit. There's, you know, Elon's got 4,600 satellites up there. Like there's a lot. There's asteroids. There's things burning up.
Yeah.
You know, you're catching reflections off certain crafts that are, you know, just orbiting the planet that are reflecting off the sun. So you're getting glimmers. But being at that altitude and seeing something straight on, I think is such a different and interesting perspective to this because now you can confirm that it's not in space. Because being on the ground, you have no point of reference. It's either a big object that's, you know, far away or a small object that's close. Like, I don't know. But being level playing field with this thing, watching it go, I mean, that must be just a much more,
so like
intense experience.
Even with aerial, like, you know, the radar coverage in, well, actually they did catch it on radar on the corner of their scope. But they had it on their own. They have your radar in the plane. It's limited. It's TCAS for collision avoidance for commercial. They picked it up on the TCAS. So did those people in that clip we're talking about out in Oregon, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had it on their TCAS, but the radar station didn't have it on. So it's telling you this object is in very close proximity.
Well,
you know, but at the same time, radar doesn't have it as a primary target. That's interesting because the same thing happened the night before aerial. A lot of the pilots talk like, I got it on my TCAS, like collision avoidance, yet you guys don't have it on radar. South Africa, on the one pilot I did interview, they did have it on radar. He went to the tower right when he landed. He's like, did you guys get this on radar? It's like we had it on for like 2 seconds, but it was going so fast that we don't know what it was.
Whoa.
And he saw, that's what he saw. I mean, within 2 seconds, 4 seconds, it had completely, he's at 25,000 feet. So your horizon's massive. You know, you can see a lot of, you know, and it within 4 seconds, it completely crossed the horizon and at, in a kind of a straight line, not like a meteorite or anything like that. He thought it was another aircraft coming up next to him, and then